This is an excerpt from a manuscript I recently finished. It's a memoir about a time in 1978 when I hitchhiked from Seattle down to Key West, Florida, and then back to Seattle. The trip turned into a totally unexpected spiritual awakening. It's called Asphalt Sanctuary. Every road needs a beginning. Chapter 30, Lulu. Standing in the middle of America, I found myself in a town that I thought only existed in Jimmy Stewart movies. From Main Street, I could see a white gazebo sitting on a small grassy plot in the center of the town square. Beside the square, Roman columns presided over white marble stairs leading to a courthouse. Next to the courthouse sat City Hall, a simple square building planted firmly, stone walls reflecting a solid people. As a bookend to City Hall rested the church, solid white, offering a spire that rose above all else. I half expected a silver-haired woman to pull over, holding a warm plate of chocolate chip cookies, her white apron and floral dress neatly covering her matronly frame. "Jesus Christ, I hate this," a young woman snapped once I stepped into her black V-dub bug. She brushed the black stringy hair from her eyes, took a look at me, and said, "I'm Lulu." "Hate what?" I asked. I wasn't sure if she meant the weather, her car, or just life. "All this Pollyanna." Her arm made a sweeping motion to point out the buildings as her black fingernails grated across the town. "You know, a lot of sick things go on in these pretty white boxes." Her thick black overcoat was fraying at the ends of the sleeves and around the collar. Her eyes looked like white planets surrounded by the empty space of black mascara. A black leather skirt led down to black nylons, showing oyster white legs through the tears. Worn black tennis shoes stomped on the clutch pedal and accelerator. The back seat encased layers of her life. On the bottom squatted cardboard boxes from the liquor store. Above those were bulging plastic bags, stretched and torn by their loads. Topping the pile were clothes, still on the hangers, as if they'd been bear hugged out of a closet and tossed there. They projected a must of old wet fabric that filled the car. She railed against the manicured world as we kept driving through the Pollyanna. The gardens, sidewalks, well-dressed people all received her caustic glare and comments. Eventually, her steam started running out, and she began to talk. "I'm an actress in Manhattan. Been there about 2 years, but it's tough." Her voice softened, and she didn't seem as concerned with the oppressive hypocrisy of society. Picket fences kept guiding us down streets. "I grew up around here," she said under her breath. "Looks like an okay place," I said, knowing she'd come back with a different opinion. "Yeah, it's great if you like having to hide everything in your fucking life." She didn't elaborate, but followed by saying she didn't miss her dead father. "I've got a place on the Lower East Side. It's small, but I share it with 2 guys. They're actors too." Adjusting the rearview mirror, she checked her face. "We've got a radiator." She glanced down a quiet side street where a little boy and a little girl rode their bikes. "All kinds of people in the city, every type there." She coughed hard, "Not like these Wonder Bread towns." Then, giving her head a twitch that flipped the black hair from her face, said, "It kind of surprised me. It's so big, you know. There's lots of competition. Some of those girls have even been to acting classes." Envy and disdain mixed in her voice. "I've been thinking about it some." Sitting at a red light, she looked down at her hands, and then with a blank stare, evaluated her clothes. "I can sing too." I kept quiet, letting her thoughts range. "My parents wanted me to be a straight stick, to look and act like the other kids." She turned to me and let out a short blast of breath while shaking her head. "My mom and dad talked about how nice it would be when I got married. You know, kids, dogs, white fence, the whole schmear." She cackled. "They thought that would make me happy." Rain began falling, and she waited a bit before turning on the wipers. "What made me happy was my mom's cooking. God, that woman could cook. Lulu didn't strike me as the type who cooked much." "I can't believe it," she said slowly. Mom actually would put hot pies next to an open window to cool. This was the first time I'd seen a hint of a smile. Not a light smirk or a quick lip lift, but a slow, lasting hint. That's like the old Sunday comics, I said, thinking of Cats and Gemma kids. I kept being corny. The kids always snuck up to the window and would steal the pie. Yeah, I tried that once. Her smile broadened a bit. Burnt my fingers. Many of the homes and shops now received long looks from her, fixing her gaze on them as we passed. She pulled to the side of the road. This is it. I'm not going any farther. We sat at a nondescript cross street. Lulu leaned forward a bit and turned her head to get a better view out of the passenger window. Raising her arm and pointing, she said, "My mom lives down this block." I nodded, but her statement surprised me. Until now, she hadn't mentioned anything about seeing family. Before getting out, I had to ask, "So if this place is so crappy, why are you here?" She clamped down, quiet for a while. "My cousin called a couple days ago. Mom's sick, really sick." She blinked, but her mascara still smeared down her cheeks. "She needs someone to take care of her." Lulu looked down the street where she grew up. Then with a slow, deliberate cadence, said, "I'm going to stay." Her voice slipped to a whisper, "I'm all she's got." Lulu then glanced at me and seemed to understand that worked both ways.